Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta. Well, the ECB rate cuts, global market deficit, the uncertainty over the upcoming US elections and the war in the Middle East have led to eventful time for commodities market. On today's show, we put spotlight on silver, which is trading at an all-time highs in India and at 12-year highs globally. There are many factors that are driving this positive sentiment, including record high gold prices, firm industrial demand from solar and electric vehicle manufacturers. Joining me now to discuss this is Michael DiRienzo, President and CEO at the Silver Institute. Michael, hi, thank you for joining us. And while, of course, we've been talking from the very beginning of this year on how this year could see an outperformance for silver, but we finally do see that coming in. Silver not only has outperformed gold, but various other asset classes as well, with more than 42% of gains in the global markets. How do you see this price move, and what's your sense on where are we headed?
Well, I think we've only just begun, Manisha, and thank you for having me on your show again. Look at the silver whole complex is in a very good place right now. I mean, we're looking at, like you said, a 40% increase. The price is really on the move this year. Again, today, we're almost at $34.50 per ounce in US dollar. And quite frankly, it's due to a number of factors. But yes, gold's having a great year too, but silver is outperforming it. And as the silver price increases, the gold and silver ratio decreases. I don't know where it is today, but last week it was in the low 80s. It's probably playing some catch up right now. But beyond that, there are several factors that are leading to this this fervor for silver across the globe.
Oh, well, absolutely. Michael, so when you say that the price rise is just beginning, where do you see this really headed now? Because major global banks and brokerages are talking about levels of 40 and 42 going forward for the next 6 to 12 months.
Well, I'll let those analysts make those predictions. At the Institute, we sort of remain agnostic, but we really hope they're right. And maybe they may even be lowballing it a bit. But look at the fact of the matter is the silver market will be entering its fourth year of a consecutive deficit. Okay, so we're looking at about a 215 million ounce deficit this year, and that's compounded of the hundreds of millions of ounces in deficit over the previous 3 years. We're looking at record offtake for photovoltaic demand this year at about 232 million ounces. And let's not forget about the electrification of the world. Silver is a key component in everything that is electric. If it has an on and off switch, then it relies on silver. So look, there's a lot of great things happening in the market today, and we think there's a lot more room for this to run.
Well, Michael, industrial demand is one part of it, but how are you looking at the investment demand side as well? Because there have been various reports on how HNIs and institutional players as well are now looking at silver as a buying opportunity, as an investment opportunity as well.
Yeah, we're hearing the same thing. And I just got back from the London Bullion Market Association's annual meeting in Miami. And while there are a lot of folks who have said that very same thing about the institutional investors. That's one of the pieces of the puzzle that has been missing in the silver investment space. And we're hopeful that it continues to rise and that they come back in. We're putting out a report later this year, Manisha, on why institutional investors should invest in silver. And we'll be excited to get that to the marketplace so everybody can take a look at the recommendations that the authors put forward for these institutional investors. Look, we're seeing sort of weak coin and bar demand in the West, but it's really strong in India. It's picking up again in China. We're seeing inflows into the exchange-traded funds for silver. So, quite frankly, it's exciting.
When you talk about India and China, and India, yes, we're looking at an all-time high prices in case of silver here. We've been talking about 1 lakh rupees a kg for a very long time as a target, and we are here, by the way. When you say the demand is looking good, in what sectors are you looking at this demand coming in from? Is it going to be retail? The industrial investment also is on the higher side here. But what categories are you looking at in sense of India?
Well, we're hearing that it's a combination of all three. And look, India has imported record amounts of silver this year into the country. We're here it's going into the jewelry sector, the industrial side, and again on the investment side. So once again, India is paving the way for this expansion in the silver price, and also with respect to industrial, jewelry, and investment demand.
Michael, what's your sense on the recycled silver coming into the market? I mean, most of the people here tell us that that one is gone down. More and more people want to hold on to their silver. They anticipate higher prices from here, and that is perhaps when they would want to come to the market.
I think you're right. No, you are right. We're seeing decreased amount of scrap supply come to the market, although I think by the end of the year, there may be a slight increase versus 2023. Nonetheless, you're right. There's just not a lot of silver coming back to the market. In most cases, Manisha, when the gold price hits a certain high, people will sell their gold and they'll sell their silver holdings, jewelry, coins, or whatever, along with it. It's not happening this year. And with respect to silver, people are stickier with their silver. They hold on to it for a much longer period of time.
Oh, well, absolutely. When you look at the international markets as well, Michael, there's just so much happening. China demand on one side, US presidential elections, the other thing. The markets also are looking at rate cuts coming in from global central banks. For silver, essentially, what would you want to watch out for in sense of macros?
Well, I think the rate cuts have been very important. I think that some of the U.S. job numbers that have come out recently may sort of stymie further, or at least 0.50 rate cuts going forward. But look, everybody is saying that there are 3 to 4 more cuts baked into the market by mid-year next year. We think that at least one more cut will happen this year. We think it's good for silver. It allows investors to get into hard assets like silver and gold. And we've seen that happen clearly since the last rate cut here in the United States.
Michael, I also want to get into the numbers here. As you told us that we're looking at a 215 million ounces of deficit in this year. What is the kind of mine production numbers year on year that you're looking at? Also, what's your sense on the inventories right now? And where do you see major demand coming in from?
Okay, so on mine production, we expected it at the beginning of the year to rise by about 1%. We're not so certain that's going to happen this year. In speaking with some of the analysts at the LBMA conference, they're convinced that mine production will remain somewhat stagnant again this year, even though some large mines have come back into operation. And this has a lot to do with geopolitical issues in major mining countries such as Mexico, Peru, and so forth. With respect to industrial demand, well, we think that solar is going to pave the way again. We were calling for another record year for industrial demand of about a little over 700 million ounces this year.
Okay.
That would be the third consecutive year of growth and records for industrial demand.
Michael, very quickly, at these higher prices and much higher prices from here, do you see more mines coming back in as they see profitability? And at what level would they see profitability?
Well, that's a great question. You know, the fact of the matter is these mines are already there. Some have gone into closure over the years, but there's just no new deposits there. There are no new major supplies of silver to the market. Yes, there are above ground stocks. The identifiable above ground stocks are being drawn down as we speak to meet this robust global demand. So where the market is in 3 to 4 years, I don't know. But mine supply has not kept up with demand. That's why we're seeing these deficits.
Well, but as you said, the silver price rise is just beginning. And yes, that is exactly what we are getting in sense of cues from global banks, brokerages, and investors as well. Michael, as always, thank you so much for joining us here at CNBC India with your sense on where the silver prices could be headed. But with that, we're heading into a short break. Coming up, I caught up with jewelers in Dubai on the sidelines of the International Gem and Jewelry Show. The details when we return.